everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Extra Time. I'm your host, Greg Lawless, and tonight we are at Nevada Smith, the legendary soccer bar in the East Village of New York, for a very special viewing party for the big New York Red Bulls against Real Salt Lake match at the new Rio Tinto Stadium. As always, I'm joined by Chef Messing, and tonight a special guest, Steve Jolly, former New York defender. Steve, welcome to ET.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Should be a great night here at Nevada Smith. Now, Shep, this is a big game for both teams, obviously. You know, RSL still struggling. They need to secure a spot in the playoffs. New York barely in the playoffs right now in that second wild card spot. What do you see this one happen? How do you see this one happening?
Well, Greg and Steve and everybody here at Nevada Smith, we didn't know when we scheduled this game the importance it was going to have. This is a critical game for Jason Christ and Real Salt Lake, critical for Osario and the New York Red Bull team. I think the New York Red Bull team, without Cicero, Rojas, the missing Dane Richards, I think they're up against the big challenge tonight.
Well, Real Salt Lake, of course, right now in third place in the Western Conference, and let's talk a little bit about the playoffs going on right now. It's hotter than it's ever been in MLS, and we'll start out in the West, where right now Houston. I mean, you work with Houston a lot, right? The Dynamo, they're unbeatable. They look unbeatable.
They're just playing exceptionally well right now. This is a team built for a championship. They're so loaded. I mean, you name it. They've got plenty of players coming off the bench who will probably start most of the teams in Major League Soccer, and they're grooving at the right time.
Any question that they're going to get maybe tired with all of the other games with the CONCACAF Champions League stuff going on?
And I think that's the reason why I brought up the fact that they're so loaded in terms of their roster size. I mean, they're giving players to these Champions League games that usually don't play very much, but are now playing some really important minutes. And this is a really, really good team.
Well, they are good. Now, Chivas USA is actually, though, the hottest team in MLS right now. They're 5-1-1 in their last 7 games. They seem to be figuring it out even when they're missing Ante Razov up top. Aleko Eskandarian is scoring a lot of goals right now. Shep, what is Chivas doing right now?
Well, I give Preki a tremendous amount of credit because last year he had the luxury of really playing his starting 11 for most of the season. A couple of injuries at the end of the year, Razov. But this year, Preki's had to mix and match, and
he's had to work.
He's got the best out of all of his players. He had to replace a big-time goalkeeper that Brad Guzan all of a sudden gone, and now he's going with Kennedy. So everything Preki's done, it's worked out so far.
Can Kennedy get him into the playoffs?
I think he can. I like Kennedy. He's athletic. He's fearless. He's gotten the job done so far.
Well, the rest of the Western Conference, obviously, they're still struggling right now. Real Salt Lake right there in third place, but they're only a point ahead of Colorado and a point ahead of FC Dallas. How do you see those three who right now look to be the teams that will be fighting for that third guaranteed spot and maybe one of the wild card spots?
It's an interesting question, and this, quite honestly, is the reason why I love October in Major League Soccer. I mean, anybody that says they know what's going to happen in terms of the playoffs is kidding themselves.
Right.
They're kidding themselves. It's going to be exciting. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about who we think is going to be making the playoffs. This is just fun. Every single game is enjoyable. It's exciting. Starting tonight, here, Thursday night, Rio Tinto Stadium.
Well, there's a question about Rio Tinto Stadium. Is there a question that Salt Lake will sort of lose that advantage that they have on the turf, that they've done so well at home?
Well, I still think it's a home opener. They're going to have a passionate crowd.
Sold out. Rio Tinto Stadium is sold out tonight.
Little bit, I understand, of a more compact field, but Jason Christ is going to take advantage of the ambiance, the atmosphere, the altitude. I still think it's a home field advantage.
Not only Jason Christ. I mean, you look at that coaching staff with Jeff Gassar, Robin Fraser.
They've done a great job.
They're loaded in terms of experience in Major League Soccer and what it means. And national TV audience, 21,000 people. They're going to be going.
Jason Christ, Coach of the Year, possibly?
It's hard not to give it to Ziggy Smith. And quite honestly, I think Dominic Kinnear deserves more respect than he does, because when you look at all the games that they played beyond of what most MLS teams are playing, I mean, he has built this. I mean, they're the blueprint of success for Major League Soccer right now for me.
Well, you bring up Ziggy Schmidt now. Well, let's move over to the Eastern Conference, where Columbus right now, obviously the cream of the crop. They've already shored up the Eastern Conference crown, home field advantage to the playoffs. They're basically there for the Supporters' Shield. And right behind them, New England, they've already sewn up a spot in the playoffs. The East, after that, though, Chicago, they look set. But then New York, Kansas City, and D.C. 2 points separating all three teams. This is going to be a tight one down to the wire, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's something that I'm fighting with. When I make my predictions, my playoff predictions, that East Coast, I'm not having much confidence right now. DC's got a lot of injuries. New York has been almost pitiful on the road. When you think about 13 games, they've only won one game. That's not good enough in this league. So I'm not having much confidence in that Eastern Conference right now.
Well, DC is struggling, obviously, Chef, but right now there's some questions about Tommy Sohn. Is he on the hot seat? Does he keep his job? What does he have to do? Does he have to get DC into the playoffs to keep his job?
Well, let me comment first about the East in general, then Tommy Sohn and DC United in particular. I think we all, in the beginning of this season in Major League Soccer, the new playoff format has been unbelievable. And I think in the beginning of the year, the way the East took off, we thought maybe 5 teams would come out of the East. Now it's looking
flipped around, hasn't it?
It's looking the other way. Now I may be in the minority. I believe in terms of Tommy Sohn, there can't be a knee-jerk reaction. Too often we're quick to fire the coach, blow up the team. Siggy Schmidt in Columbus is a perfect example. He had a plan. They didn't do well. This was his 3rd year, and finally he's got it right. Tommy Sohn, lots of injuries. Gallardo has been a disappointment. Moreno, Fred, Emilio, injuries. I don't point the gun. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think you keep Tommy Sohn. I think you keep continuity.
Well, I think the injuries have certainly not helped at all. They have some tough games coming up in the last 3 games. They're playing all 3 of the playoff teams, Houston, New England, and Columbus, the 3 teams that are already in. Can they get any results? Do you think, with all the injuries they have, no more Fred, no more Gallardo, Emilio hurt, Moreno hurt, they also have to play the CCL games. Can they push through?
No.
There you go.
I feel bad, and I think I agree completely with you, because I think Siggy Schmidt is a wonderful example of that. I mean, you look at the successful teams in the history of Major League Soccer, there's ones that have consistency. Right now, I don't want to do to DC what has always happened to the New York franchises, is that you just ship them out, change the lineups, change the rosters. It's not healthy.
And if you look at DC's track record, it's always been about consistency.
It is, and that's the reason why they've had success for so long.
Right. And they've also struggled in goal. I mean, Zach Wells didn't get the job done. Clayton really started out okay, but without a goalkeeper, you're going to struggle.
Right. It's now time for the 3 of us to get to our predictions, and we're going to be predicting a little bit differently, actually. Who is going to make the playoffs this year? We looked at all the games that are coming up, and we've decided who's going to win, who's going to tie, who's going to lose, and we came up with our standings for the rest of the season. So, Steve, you are going to go first to decide who makes the playoffs and who doesn't.
Especially with this crowd, they're probably not going to be too excited about it. But,
well, Steve Jolly, obviously a former New York defender, we give him a lot of credit for coming out here in front of his former fans in New York. So I think you better have some real chutzpah to come out and do this one.
This is my prediction. I'm moving the Real Salt Lake team, who I think is going to win tonight, to be honest with you. But I think they're going to lose the next 2 games. So they're going straight down. And I'm just going to move these teams up. Colorado, Dallas, who I think has the easiest schedule for the rest of the year, with Salt Lake and everything like that. Salt Lake comes down. Then we're moving this over. Moving this over to New York, so I'm saying here tonight.
Wait a second. You got New York out of the playoffs.
I'm saying right now New York is not going to make the playoffs. It's a very bold move.
Wow.
Very bold move. Let me explain why. This is a team, like I said before, who's won 1 game in the last 13 on the road. They now play Real Salt Lake in a new opening stadium, which I don't think they're going to get a good result with. Then they go and play at home in Columbus, but Columbus is playing exceptionally well. Then they got to go on the road to Chicago. They're not giving me much. I want to have confidence in my New York team, but they're not giving it to me. Shep, what do you think about this? You okay with it?
Obviously, Shep messing. They love him here. They love you here, Shep. They love you. You're going to set us right.
You know what? Unfortunately, I can't help the Red Bull crowd here. I bleed Red Bull. I'm sick about the inconsistency. I don't understand how they could be up 1 game, down another game. So I pretty much agree with my man, Steve Jolly. I've got Dallas up here. I've got San Jose up here. I've got Colorado here. Here's my problem. My heart is with them, but how are we going to get it done? I mean, I don't know. So I'm going to leave it like this, but if we get a result tonight, then throw this out the window. I think Red Bull will be it.
All right. Well, somebody has to set them straight on this one. LA, I agree. Maybe we should leave them down there. But I'm going to put Colorado down here. They're not going to make the playoffs, sorry to say. I'm going to put San Jose down here. But, oh wait, they're not going to make the playoffs either. And I'm going to put Real Salt Lake up here. After they get a win tonight, they're going to roll on the rest of the season. They'll be all right. No, patience, everybody, patience. Now, we're going to put that there, and we're going to sort of move these around a little bit. You got your 4 teams here. Toronto, terrible. Kansas City, struggling. DC will actually turn it around because they're DC and they have lots of pride. I would like everyone to notice the Red Bulls in the playoffs. And I would also like to point out that our good friend Shep Messing in the beginning of the season predicted Kansas City to win the Eastern Conference. Just to point that out. But for all you Red Bulls fans, trust me, they're going to make the playoffs. Believe me. So let's see how they do tonight against Real Salt Lake in the first game at Rio Tinto Stadium.
With all the emotion here tonight. This one's underway. McGee put it up there. The header blocked in front. Vandenberg scores. And New York leads. Dave Vandenberg, 7th of the year. Got it down. And a goal. It's tied. Oh, Lava gets it. That's going to do it. The first game in Rio Tinto Stadium.
There's the final whistle. 1-1. Real Salt Lake opens their new Rio Tinto Stadium with a draw against New York that keeps them very much in the playoff race. Actually, both teams in the playoffs race.
I think it's a result that neither team wanted, but it keeps them both alive, so they're going to take it and run. Look forward to next week.
Well, next week, that's all the time we have tonight on Extra Time. We would like to thank everybody here at Nevada Smith's in New York, the Borough Boys for coming out, the Red Bull fans for coming out, and of course, Steve Jolly for joining us here. Thank you very much, Steve.
Appreciate you having me.
Well, we'd love to have you back anytime, and we had a great time tonight, and we hope to do this again. Don't forget to catch ET next week, where we will be breaking some news about some of the new expansion teams. So join us, and we'll kick it around.